Well, hey, how y'all doing out there this evening? Man, I wish they would give the same video look when you're, typing in, creating the live feed as it actually is when you do it. I hope y'all can see me good. I got plenty of light. I don't know what's going on. I'll try that a little bit. There he is. Anyway, um. I said some things earlier today, and I'm not here to apologize or say, oh, I really shouldn't have said that. I mean every fucking word I said. I hope beyond hope that we would never come to a time period in this country where this was going to go down like it's going down. And in saying that, they're setting up things. They picked these certain cities, basically Portland and I don't want System UI, oh, whatever. You got Portland, Minnesota, and hey, Rena, hey, Joseph. Now, we still here. It says System UI is not responding. Close the app or wait. And so I put close the app. I didn't know it. That's one of them. Hey, y'all, I might be on here using Facebook as an operator, I guess, or whatever, a consumer. I don't know jack shit about all this stuff. I don't care about it. I never wanted one. I wouldn't have got any of my first phone I got in 2016 because it was certain Skankenstein in Ohio. But anyway, that romance thing makes men do stupid stuff. I might have still been on it. It shut down and I had to go all back through the whole thing again. So here we are. But anyway, there you go. I don't understand it, don't want to, but it understands me. It likes to piss me off. But anyway, like I was saying, there's a bigger picture to all of this. And because of the political nature of our society, I was going to say some stuff. Please wean yourself off of whether you're a left or right wing supporter of the DC Puppet Show. It's been used to destroy everything that we love, y'all, starting from our planet on down. When they politicize something, actually nothing gets done about it, and it turns into a left-right talking point argument. So I just, as a brother and somebody that just really knows that it does not mean anything, maybe it's your local level when you choose certain officials to help maintain your area, where you have control of something, that's fine. But at a federal level, nobody can prove that voting actually works or that your vote actually counts. Nobody can prove that. You don't even have a vote for the president. You have a vote for an elector, and they decide who the president is. So it's all just some bullshit. I hear you, Joseph. Hey, Carter, how you doing, brother? Anyway, besides all this bullshit, they control this too as well, the social media and stuff. So, you may have been friends out here with somebody 20 years on Facebook, and they could possibly be a bot and all, So, or an operator in another country that's just our enemy and pushing propaganda like we did to them. And that's what we did when I was in the Navy, 81 to 83, in the Carl Vinson Battle Group. That's what we did to them, y'all. Okay? And it's ugly business. It's how you kill people without dropping bombs, pulling a trigger. That's how you turn them against their government. Or you prop up a government with it, like we did in Iraq, like we've done several dozen places. In fact, it does listen, Kate, don't we? Anyway, yeah, then I love you, Raina. And listen, that's another thing too. I have a lot of people that's right, LB. I changed one of your first diapers, by the way. And but a lot of people don't understand, like, understand me when it comes to that. Um, I was never shown anything but tough love. Tough love saves lives in hard times. And there's a cycle of that: hard times and good and easy times. And I'll repeat that saying because I love it, and I heard it from a young black man that heard it. They got it from his grandfather, and I'm just gonna start saying young man, young woman from now on. I'm about tired of all this labels and division things, or separating us from being human to each other. But you know, it basically said. Good men make easy times make bad men make hard times make good men. And so the cycle just keeps going on. And we're at one of those periods where, whether they knew it or not, they meant well. Basically, our parents and grandparents had created or tried to create a world, or tried to raise us in a world they wanted to be there. And we did. We had good financial stability, especially after the, I'd say after the OPEC oil crisis that went in from 73 into 74. We got into the 80s, it got really great. Got into the 90s, it was almost perfect. And like Prince said, you got party like it's 1999. Now, to me, that was the last year that we even had the illusion of being free or being having rights, and that these people couldn't do what they're doing. Even though we had Waco, and a couple of years later, Oklahoma City, and that was a setup. Timothy McVeigh really thought he was being a soldier and doing something to pay back for the ATF, murdering the people in Waco, which was not a cult, by the way. Yes, they were a religious outfit, and they studied the second coming, and the seals and all that kind of stuff. They had been there since the 30s. They didn't want them there because they sold weapons, and that's how they made their finances. And so that's the other thing. Waco was the first time that I realized that I myself could be drawn into a psyop, or into the propaganda being fed to you about whatever they did to something. Like when ATF went in there and just literally, the kids and all were safe for a minute. They was in this big concrete bunker, and they dropped a fucking bomb on the top that blew a hole in it, which caused a fire and all to just literally burn their lungs out first. So they died suffocating first. And then they basically, the charred remains were left of, I believe, 27 children and several women. And the ones that tried, they said, come out, you or surrender now. And they were surrendering, walking out, getting shot with 30 cal machine guns. The government did this to the coal miners in West Virginia. And it was in the 20th century, by the way. I think it was around right before World War II, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. The miners were going to go on strike. They actually wanted to get paid money, not store credits. They lived in tent cities, and it was a very diverse variety of people. Black folks, Indian folks, white folks, any kind of folks. They actually, believe it or not, one of your first genetically modified transhuman people. Yeah, probably not going to believe this, but I love when I go somewhere to learn the history of the place. But and hey, Kathy, how you doing, honey? They actually made that little short bearded kind of dwarf-looking guy for coal mining, and these people also had extra large lungs that just absorb oxygen out of nothing. Perfect for coal mining. They also don't live to be past 50, which was perfect for the coal mining corporations. And these people are that evil, y'all. Or they're that greedy and selfish, which to me, that does make them evil. Hey, Ben, how you doing? I just read what you said, Bob. With this, what's going on now? And a brother out here, and I hope he comes on here in a minute. And so we can, he had wrote, he felt like this was another setup, false flag, and in a way he's right. I'm limited on what I will say, not what I can say, and I got a secret with all these secret people. No, I just like to respect people's privacy. But the Ramsey County medical examiner, I know a sister up there for a very long time. He was actually lived out there with us at Bonnie Lee Farm for a little while, and so she confirmed that the Renee Good lady and was dead. That was a dead woman. And that this guy, today I got back to word that this guy that he wasn't at that one medical examiner's office. Hey, Irene, how you doing, honey? Hey, Janice, how y'all doing? But anyway, I get confirmation on stuff like that because, see, I see stuff like this as being a setup. Not because I'm paranoid or conspiracy theorist. There's just certain things involved. Any type of law enforcement, even these jackasses, and a lot of them are former one percenters, bounty hunters, and then a lot of them are from overseas. When they have a perp down and shot them, and you've seen this a lot. You've seen this in plenty of videos, and you think it's all cruel, but it is police or law enforcement procedures, and they're not law enforcement, but they do go by these procedures. If they shoot somebody that's going to have a charge on them that was breaking the law, and they shot them because they were breaking the law or in fear for their lives, they cuffed the dead body. They didn't cuff neither one of these and left the scene and would not allow an examiner. One had a doctor at the scene. They wanted him dead. Now, you say, well, that's because she really wasn't dead and this was a psyop. That's a good argument. But I'm not here to debate. The thing is, they want them to die because they don't want witnesses. They don't want lawsuits. Only about the federal government's been involved in so many wrongful deaths and murders of people. Like the West Virginia thing, to finish that, they were in the tent city when they left to go protest. The women and children were left in the tent city. The American military lined up 50 cal machine guns and mowed down the whole fucking community right there. And they said, "Don't buck on us." And I think that's what they're trying to do now. They're just trying to do it in a more psyoptic type way. Hey, Antonio, and hey, Paula, how y'all doing? So, so anyway, part of this, I think, is they set up because they know how these people are going to react. And why would they be doing this in Minnesota? I want you to remember they're also in the area where Lincoln killed all the Lakota, the Sioux there. They call them Sioux, but they're actually Lakota. And hung them. There's been a lot of federal mass murders in that area. So for some reason that is a playing field for them. That is a stage to set up to get popular opinion or get popular support on their side, to spread their lies, their propaganda, their narrative, and to take care of enemies that they have. Because, by the way, just before all that, the Lakota was the only nation of people that ever defeated the United States federal government on this soil. And they just wasn't going to take it. And that's why they killed all. They put a bounty on the buffalo. They were going to starve them out. But they always go and they get the ringleaders, or they get people that are involved in, we'll say here, it's protesting, legal, peaceful protesting, whether you like it or not, whether they're libtards or whatever you want to call them, right-wingers. They're exercising their rights according to the Constitution. It's all very, very much legal. Hey, Joseph, how you doing, brother? And very appreciated by me that people still know their rights and what they can do. But these guys that show up, that they showed up at the one thing, the Jonathan Ross guy, they just disappear. All right? You're not going to hear anything about these fellas. This would have been a good time, especially after Trump gave that bullshit about, ICE is going to make mistakes. We're going after a bigger, crime thing. Hey, Judy, how you doing? The Renee Good thing was a tragedy, and basically admitting that they were wrong. Where I think that was bullshit to set up for this one. If it was real, see, they would offer up one of these ICE agents that actually did a murder to the people of Minnesota. But it's a place, where they claim they hate it because of the liberals there in the sanctuary cities. Why didn't they do anything in his first administration? The Somalians had been there since 92. They started coming over there in 91. So, people don't want to go back in history, and they count on that. That's why I say if you don't have any knowledge of what you're talking about, don't talk about it, because what you're doing is you're just spreading conjecture. You're causing the division that you say we're all divided. Well, then you get power to words when you say that. We're all divided. Then we're fucking divided, but we're not divided. You're divided. You're allowing division in. How many times I didn't necessarily, hey, Joey, how you doing, honey? And hey, Shaky, what y'all doing? How many times that, when I really bite my tongue, but I just ignored things that were said because it was just going to lead to more. I know where that conversation was going to go. When it comes to debate, I never, in high school, which is the only debating I ever did as far as a setup thing, kind of like, Dean Withers and Charlie Kirk, who's still alive. That was another psyop, by the way. They go out and debate about these things. What do they always debate about? The basic talking points of the left-right division, the left-right paradigm, the left-right two types of group thinking. And nobody ever wins that. But it was Paul Anderson that taught this, but I think it's a very common saying. Only a fool would talk about religion and politics because they lead nowhere. They're both based on opinions. They're both based on beliefs. And actually, they're both based on faith. Not the type of religious or spiritual faith that, can move mountains, but you just have faith that the government's taking your tax money and using it, right? Shit like that. So, but what I've noticed during this time period while this is going on, the left-right divide, is many of y'all have gone to this level of being so cruel. And it's not based on a political hate. It's just based on this trolling thing, or people that have learned to empower themselves out here, but it's not themselves. Most of these people aren't using a real name. You go look at all these accounts and these bot accounts for sure, but even some of the people. Remember when Facebook first started, you could only have the one account, and it had to be your name. And even though we worked around that, skirted around that, get another, email address, or maybe have 2 phone numbers or whatever, you could skate around it, but it was against community standards. Now you can have 3 profiles, and they can be anything you want to be. They even say it. Go look up community standards now. So you can have up to 4 profiles, and 3 of them can be fake. That was to make this easier on them to keep us with this fighting thing. Now, why is it so bad out here online? Because you're not face to face, and somebody feels empowered. I've seen bullies. People that have been bullied are now bullying people. I've seen people that's been abused there. Now they're abusing people. I've seen people that have been victims of society, and now they're victimizing people. Now, for them personally, as that individual, say a person that was been bullied all their life, and they get out here and now they go around and bully people, you're not making yourself well. Matter of fact, you're strengthening your cowardice because you're hiding behind an avatar. And the avatar. Video call 10 times a fucking day, man. Come on, man. I don't do video calls on Messenger. Hey, Sarah, yeah, how you doing? Hey, Les, sorry, chicken dinner. Well, it might be a bologna sandwich. Well, I had no bread or bologna, but it'll be all right. I got a happy jar of mayonnaise right here somewhere. But anyway, hey, Maria, how you doing, honey? The whole point is you're making yourself sicker emotionally or spiritually or mentally by getting back at people that never bullied you. Or like these sisters that were over there, even though one said, "We're not your sisters," and I said, "Well, that's your decision, to not be anybody's sister or me be your brother or whatever." It's just it's terminology, but it's also very true terminology. On the grand scheme of things, but I noticed a lot of them they were all women, and they all just basically had abuse in their life, and they just took me for being one of these Magonites that goes around punishing people, or some of these once bullied people that go around bullying people, or just the trolls. You don't realize how many people They don't care about the left-right thing. They don't even believe none of this shit's going on. They just like to troll and see people whine. So they take the opportunity because there's better, easier trolling and easier pickings when you get everybody and just don't pick a side. The other thing, and hey Victoria, how you doing, honey? Hey Kayla, what's going on? The other thing that really bothers me is the people that are getting paid out here. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to make money off of speaking, but Facebook limits what you can say, but you can put up fake articles. Or you can put that where they say, you know, we just found out the truth about, and it says see more, and you go to click see more. You just gave them a click, so they're clickbaiting you. I just blocked another, I even lost count. Double digits, so probably close to 15 or 16 of them if I could think back that far. But I'm just blocking those accounts now. You people are wrong. You're very wrong in what you're doing. Yeah, I'm glad that you found a way of making money. I hate it that we've lost so many jobs, that we have all these fake herbalists and all these Google mycologists and all these Amazon healers, and nobody can go out in the woods and find the stuff, but boy, they sure know the name of it, and they can order a pound of it, you know, from Mountain Rose Herbs or Frontier, you know, for $29.99 a pound. People like me people like me, period, that we go out there and bust our ass and are taking our life experience and a time period where it's needed. And all I worry about is not you're taking sales away from me. I'm not a salesman or a fucking businessman. And I want to repeat that until I never become one. So there you go. I'm proud of that, actually, to be honest with you. But the thing is, you sell them crap, there's people out there getting sick from it. You don't take a phone call for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and listen to everything, because holistic healing is an approach to the whole problem, the whole body. You got to listen to a lot of the stuff. And I have no problem with that. Matter of fact, it helps with my edification on what's going on. So and with our health and everything, which is very important to me, because I understand fully from my experience in the Navy till today, this is a war for the mind. They're not going to do a whole bunch with conventional warfare or whatever. We're putting ourselves into the concentration camps. We're loading ourselves onto the train. They're not pushing nobody. But this hatred, the left-right hatred for each other, I get affected by it, and I'm in the middle. I'm not even in the middle. I'm that thorn in the side. My whole point with most of that is I've got a really bad issue with lies. I've been lied to on some major things, and I make myself to a certain point, and I'm just going to believe what you tell me until you prove to be a liar. And I'm not going to sensationalize something because I have no reason to do that, and neither should you. I'm not getting money for it. But lying to me, well, even though Metallica stole this from Merlin the Wizard, when a man lies, he murders a part of the world. Well, look at all the lies that come from so many people. Is there any of the world left alive? Why do you think this is collapsing? If we let it happen, we walked into this. They just guided us. The power of suggestion, remember? It's very powerful. I would say arguably the biggest weapon of mass destruction in the history of mankind. And all it takes is the things that Edward Bernays learned and tapped into us and figured out is advertising it. You get somebody popular, you trust, you believe. Some people out here would believe anything I said. I don't want you to do that. I've never wanted anybody to just believe anything I said. Now, have I worked hard and earned a good name and a good reputation like that? You're damn right, and that's hard to do. But it ain't hard for me to suck up something and say I'm wrong. I just go back to remembering my granny giving me 2 switchings if I lied, you know. So, there you go. And I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And it's slowly becoming just the normal now. See, Shaky? And they just let it fall into that. That's how they have people believing federal income tax is legal and that you got to pay it and it's law. But it's not. You don't have to pay. FICA, you do. But the federal income tax, you don't. They they tried it in the 18. I can't remember the exact date, but in the 1800s, it was never accepted by all the states. I think Mississippi was the only one, so it was not ratified. But they just act like it was. You go 10 years of saying it is. You make one example, put one person in jail for it. Then people start believing it after a while. The generation that knew better, they die off. The generations that are, don't know any better or know any different, and now it's accepted as law or the truth. And that's why you should really seek out. I'm going to put it this way. If I had any reason to tell any of my Republican brothers and sisters out here not to listen to this administration and to be honest with themselves, why would you listen to somebody that constantly lies all the time? That does everything for personal gain, and when you point out the bad things of their person, all right, their leader, their party, they always gaslight and say, "Oh, well, he should be able to make some money." All right, why? You're just mad because no other president didn't. Obama didn't think about selling cars on the White House lawn. But Biden should have let Qatar come build that Air Force base here. We could use more F-15s flying around. When our military, by the way, won't kill us, they'll get another military to kill us. And we'll use our military to go kill their personal problem. That's that level of the 1%, I guess, the ruling class. They make it sound good. They play good cop, bad cop. That's two sides, right? If you can just ever take my word for anything or any advice from me, please wean yourself off the left-right paradigm. It's a group thinking control mechanism that is working like a fucking Swiss clock with 50% tariffs on it because they didn't do something Trump liked. I had to get a smile out of myself. So, the thing is, Shaky, I'm glad you said that. They want us to believe that there's some good out there. Actually, there's a lot more good out there. We just allow ourselves to get caught up into this stuff. We think we see somebody getting attacked. I'm going to tell you right now, there's two dead bodies in there by the name of Renee Good and this new fella. Okay, I didn't come prepared with names and all that. I'm still upset about that. I don't like witnessing that, but my problem is, where I've always been a fuck the police kind of person, I don't go fuck with the police, and they're not the police. There's people out there that'll tell you they got all these, the authority that law enforcement has, or that they have immunity. And that one guy with the big boxcar ears, and it looked like he was Mexican. Wow, that was an ICE agent, and he rattled off the code, That does not apply to this situation. That does not apply to citizens. That applies to what they have been under their investigation of certain people or whatever, or undocumented workers or illegal immigrants. And they really suck y'all into that. I hope you never get sucked into something like that ever again. Remember, when you're afraid of something and the government offers a solution for your fear, and they're going to quell your fear, that's the Hegelian theory. They made the thing you feared first, and you react, and they got the solution already made, ready made, and they got one now. But this don't seem to be working out so well for them, or as easy, and they really like easy. But so that there's going to be some bad things worse than this going to come up. They're probably going to see a Kent State type shooting. That wasn't a psyop, but I believe they went there to kill people. So it was a setup. And I don't know that. I'm just getting that. That is my opinion on what that's my educated guess. Without the education, but when you see this history, and I had a very, very good teacher which happened to live at home with us. It was my grandma, and she had a way of seeing through things. She was the one that once told me, I asked her, Granny, why do we got to watch the news every night? She said, well, I watch the news to see what they show us. And I said, well, why do you want to see what the news has to say? She said, because I want to know what they're not. If you want to know when something's going on, it's what they don't tell you on the news I'm looking for. That's the problem, or that would be the real news, So And saying that, anything that comes from their mouth has a reason. They're not just going to one day own up to something and say, hey, man, we're sorry. We've been fucking lying to y'all all these years. I'm going to get rid of that skank Caroline. That's what I call her now, Caroline. Levitt, because she's been telling lies, even though I told her to tell them. But we're going to get rid of her. We're not going to have no more liars, because I got to tell you the truth. We want the best for you, America. And we can't make you great if you're in the streets stopping our guys from... They want the people in the streets. You see? They want the opposition to what they're doing, because what they're doing needs opposition. Hey, Courtney, how you doing, honey? It needs opposition, big time. But see, without the back and forth thing, this wouldn't even be going anywhere. So, with that, and that situation just happened, and these people, didn't go there to murder somebody, but they wound up killing somebody. It was set up. They've escalated each scene. Everybody, no matter what, you're going to let your vice president or whatever lie to you, and you want to believe it, so you don't watch. You know how many people said, I'm not going to watch that video because it's just bullshit. They say, somebody did something to it. It's just the way they see it. Well, if you ain't going to look at the whole thing, then shut your mouth. That's all I'm going to say. Just shut your mouth and listen and drop some of this crap. You're not on Team Republican. Now, which also means, by the way, you Democrats, you're not on Team Democrat. That is an illusion to hide what they're doing, which is these are basically all fucking bunch of grifters that have made a life and a very good fucking living off acting like they're doing something. And it started out that way. The federal government was never supposed to make money. But they started out with a 25% tax on alcohol and had us killing each other. That was the start of the federal government. Look at the guy that's on the quarter and the guy that's on the dollar. He's the one that did that, your first president. Who, by the way, warned of the Illuminati, that there was a presence that you, who was it, Woodrow Wilson, I believe, said you don't, or no, it was Eisenhower. He said you won't even talk about it above a whisper. That's how powerful they are. Roosevelt, presidents are selected, not elected. But that only counts when you don't have a president you like, see? Please wean yourself off that bullshit. I don't think nobody can go cold turkey, but it's probably not as bad as Xanax, but maybe it's about as bad as, opiates, man. It's going to have a little body ache, so just wean yourself off, okay? And you name one political conversation that you won. Okay? And you say, well, I did be a plenty of times. No, you didn't, because you argued with somebody else and you probably became even further, more and more divided from them than you were to begin with. Even when you watch the professional debaters that go to colleges, influenced, by the way, and go to colleges, like Charlie Kirk or Dean Withers, they ain't winning anything? No, you just outsmarted the other one. You out-talked them. Talking points. And it was not an open and free conversation, in other words. Abortion is not an open and free conversation. You feel one or two ways about it. Gun control. I'm just going to use those two examples. It's not an open and free conversation. It's two talking points, two opposing sides. You're not on that team. I used to tell the Bama fans that all the time. Alabama football, they're always winning college championships, and that's because Nick Saban, he basically sold his soul for college football national titles. Kidding. But they get all crazy. Man, Bama, my team won. My Roll Tide rolled over them Gators. Yeah. They're like, you ain't on the team. You didn't even go to fucking University of Alabama. Why don't you shut up? Why don't you say, hey, the team I like won a game, You got a whole year to brag on that. What's the difference between college football and election season in D.C.? 1 year you hold the national title. 2 years you can be a senator, and 4 years you can be a fucking president. That's the difference. You get to hold the belt that long. Hold the trophy. Rah, rah. We rolled over your team. We're not on the team, y'all. You ain't even the fucking water boy. They're not even letting you watch the game. It's diversionary tactics from the truth that they have robbed us and they pillaged. They controlled us. They've broken us down little by little by little by little until now we are nothing like we were 20 years ago, 30 years ago for sure. And damn sure when I was born. You got sisters attacking sisters, brothers attacking brothers. The race thing is luckily, wow, that's almost a gold star. It might be a bronze star right now, but it is up and coming to be a gold star. Yes, we got some bad haters here. I said a long time ago, you can never defeat racism when you have people that don't want to realize that other people can succeed in life and they're not. So they're just, now you look at the 10 Commandments. If you would just go with the 10th commandment, you would not need the other 9. And what's the 10th commandment? Thou shalt not envy. Envy is the problem with a lot of stuff, man, but especially with racism. Hey, Linda, how you doing, honey? Especially with racism. And they put out all this bullshit. Well, this is really a white America. We founded this place on white principles. You stole it from the Indians, and now you're talking about people that were Puritans. But you were kicked out for your weird fucking judgmental religious beliefs from Europe. So you couldn't go back home. They kicked you out. 100 years later, you know what they did? They created Australia on the same principle. And they didn't like you. They would arrest you, make you a prisoner, but you might be a store owner. You might be a seamstress or whatever. You might have a trade. They sent you down to Australia. The prison island, which is a big giant island. I don't know why they call it an island. Hey, Amy, how you doing, honey? And greed, the kind of greed that comes from the mental condition called megalomania, the desire to be powerful and wealthy above anything else, above living a life. And I mean, if you really got one of these billionaires around you, or somebody that's really well-to-do, you're going to find out like they're really crabby on everything. There ain't no Daddy Warbucks out there. A Little Orphan Annie was a cartoon, by the way. But anyway, they live in a fear all the time. Somebody's going to take their fucking money. They say hire all this security, a lot of their wealth. Matter of fact, one of the biggest funnels or cash cows for their wealth is security from somebody taking their money. So there's legal. They got a lot of lawyers that they keep on retainer. Physical security, so somebody don't kidnap them like they've done other people, or fake a kidnapping to get money from Uncle Swin over there that's got all the damn money. He won't give me none, so I'm gonna fake my. That's happened. Or just the fact that they can use their money because they have so much of it for their own bad ideas, like pipelines with Rockefeller, American Medical Association with Rockefeller. Owning the whole, still using oil and in a poorly designed grid system. J.P. Morgan, Westinghouse, their way of doing things compared to General Electric, Ford versus Chevy, blah, blah, blah. It's always a competition that's never healthy. And it's never for us. Trickle-down economics in the 80s was so simple to me that I was laughing it off to begin with. I was like, wow, ain't nobody going to fall for this bullshit. Let's give the corporations more money, big giant tax breaks, and they're going to give the little man some more money. We'll all get raises. I might get the used car that he had. He bought a brand new. I might be able to buy the used car from my boss man now. I'll have me a Mercedes, It might be 20 years old, but hell, it's a Mercedes like the rich people got. And the advertising. We're so easily advertised to because we're so easily entertained. And entertainment don't mean you're having a good time. Roller coasters are entertaining. Horror movies are entertainment. Now, you might not come out of there feeling so good. You might be a little queasy. You say, oh, that's not entertaining, Bill. He said, well, that's entertainment. You got to find something to do with yourself besides forage, hunt, gather, live. No, we buy all that stuff. So corporations, they started in the 80s giving them all these big tax breaks for the trickle-down economics. Well, they kept that money. They got richer. The richer and more richer they got, the less they started selling us. Big giant the packages got bigger, but the product got smaller and less items of the product coming with it. And it was made out of fake stuff. It was made out of sawdust, like hot dogs. All this kind of stuff. They make the more money. Hey, Mikey, how you doing, brother? They make more money, and the more money they make, the more they want. The ratio on a business, well, not a business owner, but like a corporate business owner, compared to the worker was like $270 to a dollar on the pay and what they got. Now it's like 4,000 to 1. And they got money they'll never, ever be able to spend. They could have big, giant families. They can never spend that kind of money. And to keep from it being taxed, they find all kind of loopholes. The Rockefeller loophole, where you put it into a trust fund under one of your nephews or one of your own kids or something, and you just borrow money on it. These people, like say, like Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, worth, half a fucking $1 trillion or whatever. But he don't have that in cash. They can't even make that much cash. They can't. I think there was they said the wealth of the world was 100 something trillion dollars. But if you had to do it in cash, it would only be like $14 trillion that they have cash. The rest of it's just on paper or on deeds or on your fucking ass, your soul. They own you. And they really feel this way. That's how they borrow money. When they borrow money from other countries is on your straw man. So they're betting or they're borrowing on the fact that you're going to make such and such amount of money and give it back to them in federal income tax. And that's where your money goes. I mean, just knowing that the Federal Reserve Bank is neither federal nor a bank should tell you something right there. It's a central banking lending institution that branches off to IMF, which is the Rockefeller, the Rothschild Global World Bank. And before you go and say, well, yeah, them Jews, they do that stuff or this, that, and other. It's not always that way, but yes, they seem to be money changers or money handlers, but they also take care of their own. But had they gone, that's where the money thing gets bad. Now, I know average or poor Jewish people that have no desire to be rich, and they don't act like those other people. They don't act like the ones that are rich. Look who Trump's own daughter married, that Jared Kushner. Go look at his background. That ought to freak you out right there alone. But anyway, to get back on the subject, this is how we get to these points where this man was murdered and this lady was murdered in Minnesota. And they got the people out in the streets fighting this. And I love them for that. They are being true constitutional Americans. No matter what the fuck you say. That's it too. I made a decision, and it was the day after that rant, because I felt kind of bad about it. And also I felt very tired. Like, not physically tired. I was just like, why am I even on this planet anymore? I need the long nap. I need to get the fuck out of here. This is just stupid. And not defeatist in a way. It's just like, wow, there's not going to be no winning, because the winning part requires unity of a good proportion. And I don't feel like that's going to happen. And the internet is a big part of that. And people using avatars to release their emotional problems, their mental problems, or their spiritual problems out here. Or just to be a clown. Just to get a laugh out of somebody. I've never, I like good jokes and stuff like that, Water balloon above the door and shit like that. But I've never ever found it funny to see somebody else get hurt or see somebody else lose something because you set it up for that to happen. If you think that's funny, you need to get right with yourself. That is very sick mental behavior. I mean, it's like that's not what life's about. If your personal entertainment is hurting people, or you go and pick on special needs people just to see them, like the little kid I told y'all at school, man, everybody would go up behind them, and they go, and the kid would start swatting at the fucking bees, man. They'd be like, ha, 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 there ain't no bees. He's just swatting at nothing. He's a retard. Now, I got suspended one time for busting people. and got my ass beat pretty bad, for getting them suspended because I had to walk home, by the way. And that's why I, I'm never going to not mind my own business. But I don't snitch on nobody because they'll come back and beat your ass. My sister taught me that. And if you go to get into a fight with a group of bullies, you're going to fight all the bullies. So when you step into the ring, be prepared to swing. And thank you for that line, no tip, Shemai. Don't message me again and tell me I'm taking your lines. Or to give you your music credits. And that's the other thing. Everybody wants credit for this and credit for that. If you want the world to know something, does it matter how they got the information? Or like people condemning, and I heard that same bullshit, racist bullshit, or just hate-filled bullshit about Dr. King. Saying, oh, he cheated on his wife. Yeah, CIA operative. For one, he cheated on his wife. That's her business, not yours. But they destroyed the messenger to destroy the message. There'd be almost everything that came out of the man's mouth, if not everything, was ways to heal and live in a society where people can feel equal and be equal and have the same chances. Hey, Pauline, how you doing, honey? Hey, Kimberly, if I didn't say nothing. That's why they condemned Dr. King. Bill Cosby had a great message for young black men, and he was gaining ground on it. But then he decided he wanted to go buy NBC. That's why they brought up this stuff on him and double jeopardied him with the rape. But yeah, did he get women messed up and have sex with them? Yeah. But that's Hollywood. That's why you don't go to Hollywood to be an actress. You're pretty much going to, or to be an actor, you're going to have to do the power play thing sooner or later. From Arnold Schwarzenegger on down. It don't matter. You're a superstar. You want to roll, you're going to be on your knees. No, you don't get involved in that kind of stuff. But, did the man do it? Yeah. Was he punished for it? For trying to buy a white establishment? Yeah. I thought the punishment was bad enough when they killed his son, but that was probably him, and this is my personal opinion, because he skipped out on his celebrity sacrifice time, so they took his son. That kind of stuff is real. Been proven. There's a book called The Black Dahlia. Go read it. And, or don't, I'm not so much interested in proving anything to anybody anymore. One thing I've proven is I don't come out here and tell a bunch of bullshit that fits any agenda I have. First of all, I only got one agenda. It's called Gaia, Mother Earth. And the only thing in my life that's been there my whole life that I feel is ever taking care of me. And the only thing, and now I don't want to leave that alone, because that starts to get deep. But there's my agenda. There's my overall agenda. I want to not save the world or change the world. I want to save the planet. And you got to change the world to do that. You can't do that by yourself, so you have to get people involved in that. Some people out here, they manage to get people that trust them because they're liars. That's why I say you right-wingers, you have proven by other right-wingers that this is the most lying group of people, even outside of politics, probably in the history of our country. So what kind of person are you that you're just going to believe lies just to piss the other side off? Or the other side's going to demand that you do things that you don't have to do and call you names like Granny Killer because you didn't do what they wanted. When you learn to let people be people and live their lives and really look into the situation at hand, say like the coronavirus thing, will come out to be 5G or frequency sickness. So it's something caused by these people, these greedy people. It's always going to come back to them. Our individual deaths, murders, or mass murders always comes back to this group of people. Why are we supporting them? And then the lies. You believe the lies. You take somebody that had a good name, a good mother, and the rest of her life was none of your fucking business. She gets murdered and you say the cruelest things about her. Untrue, cruel things. Just so you can be right. How about just don't be wrong? I've seen some of the biggest problems taken care of by people not saying nothing at all. Just letting the problem be seen. Offering a solution. Not worrying about your credit for it. If it does something for somebody else, I don't give a fuck about the credit. I didn't give a fuck about credit playing baseball. I didn't give a fuck about any kind of credit playing football. I didn't put any of that kind of stuff. It was a team thing. Our team won. I don't think one person should stand out. Or I didn't care to stand out. And where I didn't really have that many, well, baseball I did because I was a hell of a shortstop. But anyway, I'm just saying I didn't have that many things come up to, say, well, I didn't do it here and I didn't do it there. Or the team thing, there's no I in team. Yeah, but ain't no I in murder either. But there's an I in ice. Well, by the way, I had this ice dog. There it is, right there, laying down. Yeah, my bed's soaking wet because she loves the snow. And I'm just trying to break this up a little bit. Because I'm going to tell you something. That's the other thing. In the tribe, and I know people condemn the tribal mentality, and that's why we got wars and stuff. In the tribe, everybody has input on everything that goes on. You have people that are older and wiser, and they're listened to more, but nobody leads it. There's no totem in there. Like the totem pole thing. All right? You'll never be at the bottom, but you may not be the peak of knowledge, but you're in the curve of the solution curve. Your input is listened to as long as it's based on knowledge, based on having results for the problems that the tribe would be having. So credit doesn't matter as long as we all get through whatever issue comes up. Well, it's about living together, coexisting to exist. Now that don't just apply to us, the conscious, super smart Homo sapiens, which means wise man. I can't even say that without. But anyway, that's what is the distinction between us and the animals. You lose the fact that we don't coexist with the planet. We don't coexist with them. Now we got completely broken and gone and lost ecosystems. Hey, Lana, how you doing, honey? That's going to eventually wind up to be a planet that looks like Mars because all this stuff worked together. As simple as that sounds, or, that can't really be. It is. And I feel like, and this ain't personal anymore, because I forgave myself, which means I forgave everybody else, about our destruction of the mother. But that's something we've got to change. That is what makes the future a life source. That's the basic part of it. When we lost that with the planet, of course we became just as polluted as she is. She's 70% water. We're 70% water. Her water's polluted, so we're polluted. They're not going to have healthy societies or groups of people unless that planet's healthy. And there's no saying back in the day. I'm pretty sure it was a butter commercial. But, it said, "Don't fool with Mother Nature." He said maybe we should have listened to that. This cold storm that's coming across. Yeah, a lot of snow out here, and it's chilly. But it still looks just like winter weather to me. They hyped up something. They may be manipulating it. And the full brunt of it hadn't hit yet. And I'm pretty sure some places will get it worse than others. But right now, I just see pretty much, that's why I liked it down in Florida and down in Georgia. Because we didn't have winters like this. They had 2 weeks of winter, and we was right back in, spring, man. Let's go, and here comes the summer. And we had, 10 months of fucking summer, so there you go. But, in saying that, they make money off of that. My brother's here, and many people out here went and bought a lot of stuff to store it up. And if this ice storm's coming, the power might go out. Might. Let me check real quick. Yep. Might's on the dog's ass. Don't live in the might, maybe, but if world. What if world. But don't do that. If you don't know, learn. Once you learn it, teach it. Learn, teach, repeat. Learn, teach, repeat. And we'd be pretty much fine if we did that. But the manipulation of who we are, making us different, the labels, well, it's causing or allowing the acceptance of people being murdered and have been being murdered. And not just these two people, and not just white people, and not just people in Minnesota. This is our history, y'all. This is who the fuck we are, and we need to change that. We are the stepping stone in our lives, not every other life. We're just stepping on them. Luxuries, conveniences, the things that we want. Man, I worked was so hard today. I want me a brand new vibrating Lazy Boy recliner to sit in front of my 6-foot HD TV with my remote that's on a frequency that, causes cancer. And that ain't funny, but it's true. I just don't know why I'm saying that. There, look what convenience causes. Sickness. Laziness. Yeah, and I mean, I'd like everything to be easy. But then again, no, I don't. Because the easier things get, the sicker we become. The more advanced we are, the worse our health becomes. The worse our societies become, the way we treat each other. The smarter we get, the dumber we fucking act. So like I said, that's what's really going on. This empire is over. It's like the Monopoly game. They're cashing out. We got to go put the board up. I don't want to play no more, because I didn't want to play to begin with, but I was born into it just like you. So we go try to be successful in this thing where there's no success to be successful with. There's nothing to be successful with. Slaves are not successful, y'all. And in their eyes, and the way and what they built here is a slave system, and we are their slaves, and that's what they... I mean, can you imagine that? Other humans think that we're less than human. And they stick with their groups. They stick with their bloodlines. They stick with their theology and fucking witchcraft. I ain't gonna throw theology in there. They stick with their cruel ways of worshiping or whatever. Like, I look at the richer they get, the closer the easier it is to get into the Bohemian Grove. To worship what? Moloch. You see? What they teach you is to suffer here on earth. And you'll have great reward in heaven. And heaven will be great, but right here it sucks. But it's supposed to, and you got to get through it. You got free will, but if you use it, you're going to burn in fucking hell. Because God gave it to you, but he didn't want you to use it. The whole God of the Hebrews character is basically your corporate head executive. That's what a rich person would be a God of the Hebrews. He loves you so much, he sacrificed his own son. Well, probably because he didn't want him to inherit nothing. But I'm just saying, what kind of love is that? Wow, I'm going to put the tree of knowledge here, which was actually amanita mushrooms. Well, I'm going to put this tree of knowledge here. There it is, right in front of you, but don't eat it. I don't want you to know nothing. You'll realize that you're naked. You'll be ashamed. I've never been ashamed from anything that I learned. And I got no problem being naked. The sheriff does, though. But anyway, you got to learn to let go of the label part of you. And those things inside of you that are very simplistic and almost too simplistic. It's like, wow, we can't really be happy and get along or just get along and realize that happiness and anger and self-righteousness and righteous anger are all things we create inside of ourselves because we didn't handle in the moment or the situation right. No, we got to drop that part. Sadly, and very realistically, and from somebody that's just done nothing but watch this, the damn sure my whole adult life, they're going to get us to cull ourselves, y'all. I'm not going to watch it. I made a decision today to not even be a part of it. Will I defend people around me? Do I take responsibility? Will I take responsibility for their lives if they're around me? I already do. Now I'm going to watch us kill ourselves? No. But will I offer a solution to it? Yes. So I'm going to kind of rework my principles a little bit. I'm going to try to find a way of obtaining and owning or putting ownership into somebody else's hand, because I don't believe in land ownership and I never will. To try to create something and escape. It's not going to be a utopia. You're going to bust your fucking ass to make something. But you'll have something. And you won't have to be a part of making a choice and a left-right fucking lie that's going to cause a civil war. That's probably going to make the last one we had look like a boxing match with somebody better than Jake Young and Andrew Tate. Anyway. I don't say this as a fear tactic. Catch me on the next live, and I'll tell you a little more. Just hit subscribe and like the video. Hey, you ever notice I don't tag nobody? I don't like being tagged. I mean, it don't bother me, but if you're gonna tag me for a live video, and what, to go listen to you? I mean, like, watch you drink beer and smoke weed and tell me how bad women are or something? I mean, wow, I don't want to hear that shit. But I don't have a need to be watched. I don't want you to have to hear the things I got to say. But like I said, I take responsibility for things that aren't my responsibility. I'm going to try to say, if nothing else, your sanity by letting you know that you're not alone. I don't want to be the motherfucker that holds you by the hand while we jump off the buildings. But that guy was a hero to me that did that with that sister. I don't want it to come to that. But what I want, I'm not going to get. Nature said, I'm doing fine, honey. How you doing? Hey, Charles, how you doing, brother? Now, is any of that an absolute? Hell no. But it's from watching something and realizing, like, this internet and what it's done to our relationship as humans. There's something out there getting all over that damn thing. Anyway, what we've come to accept, or what we've allowed ourselves to devolve into, that takes a lot of admitting that you're wrong, or that for them to admit they were wrong. And they kind of took that out of our thought process. Nobody has to do that in their opinion. Making opinion the truth, a truth. Just things like that. She told me that, Tashina. I can't wait to get it. I got one to send them too. Now, is that a reason not to be kind to people? No. But is that also a reason not to be prepared and be armed and ready for armed confrontation? I would suggest you do. And don't get armed unless you're going to pull the trigger. And I say that because that's just logical. It's not a game. It's not a front. You're not them. And they're not using it as a front. They are really blowing people away. But I believe that was planned and set up. And I think what they're trying to do is to break those people there on their weird play. Ain't a plane, but their little battlefield right there that they've used for a couple of 100 years or more in that area of Minnesota right there. They're symbolic areas of sacrificing or whatever it is that they're doing. Because I never say that I completely understand that, but I've heard too many people that from that side of it talk about this. They're evil like that. Now, they don't believe in God. They don't believe in heaven. That's why they try to stay older, longer and longer. They do believe sacrificing children keeps them in power, but it doesn't bring on an afterlife. So they don't believe that. I do with everything I am. I believe there's a metaphorical river that we're going to cross. And everybody that we fucked and everybody that we were good with, everybody that we've helped and everybody that we hurt is going to be over there. So I don't want to spend a lot of time explaining why I was stupid and hurt you. No, I don't want to be a soldier that said, or tell people, I'm sorry I killed you. Because the excuses, they're like the assholes telling them. And they're just fucking excuses. Of course, there is nothing wrong with admitting that you did something fucked up. That's self-empowering. That's getting your name back. That's getting trust back into you that you lost by doing whatever it is you did to lose it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't want to leave nothing here uncovered and have to go explain it. And that's just me, okay? That's not, I'm not going to even tell you what that's based on. Now, just one day in the swamp, I met a 90-year-old woman. Probably influenced me more than anybody else ever could when it comes to spirituality. It's very earthy. And it's amazingly spiritual. It's the only type of spirituality I've felt. I got chill bumps right now. That I've seen. I can almost touch it. Embrace it. Pull it inside of you. And it's very simple. It's live and let live. It's defend others. They can't defend themselves. And it's to take care of the very thing that gave you life to begin with. You say, well, that's my mom and dad. They procreated you. You're a development from this planet. And you believe what you want on that. I don't get into, you ever notice I don't get into those conversations. Kind of like the abortion conversation. I'm not a woman, so I don't have a right to talk about that. Or the Second Amendment, gun ownership. I'm not going to get into that. You'd be stupid not to have the same thing that people want to kill you with. The first murder supposedly was committed with a rock, so they didn't go banning the rocks. Like I said, and when it comes to Christianity and the 10 Commandment rules, just worry about number 10. You'll be just fine. You won't have to worry about the rest of them. And why'd they make it number 10? Oh, because the first 4 are about worshiping God and when to worship God and how to worship God and what the fuck's going to happen if you don't worship God. And then don't murder. Then don't steal. But that coveting, covet a man's wife, it'd probably kill you. And they said a murder. You stop the basic things inside of you, worrying about what somebody else has, envying that. Why does he got it and I don't? I want it. It might be something you never even thought about, but you see somebody else with it, kind of like the dog and the bone. For those of y'all that ain't heard that one, it's a very old, I think that's an Aesop fable. But there was a dog, he found a bone, he loved the bone was great. He walked around with the bone in his mouth everywhere. And he was walking by some still water. And he looked down into the still water and he saw his reflection, but what he thought he saw was another dog with a bone in his mouth, and he wanted that bone too. But he opened his mouth to grab the bone from the other dog and dropped his bone in the water. Now the dog had no bone. I think we've come to a point, at least in this country, when there's a bunch of people that lost their fucking bone trying to get their reflection. You want to look at your reflection? You get into the fucking dark and you close your eyes. And then you look at yourself then. Only you can get right with that. Only you can be honest with you about that. Only your opinion of who you are matters. And quit worrying about everybody else. Now I'm saying all this. That's all known stuff. I'm not saying anything new. But those are principles and guidelines that if we stuck with, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. So for the ones that seem to be lost into this left-right paradigm, especially the right now, since you think your team is in power, Don't get the fuck around me. I've never seen anything more evil in my fucking life than the way you're goddamn acting right now. Those are people probably going to be you one day, or somebody you know, and your opinion of it won't even fucking change because it's an opinion. It's the lowest form of fucking knowledge, and it's based on what you think. It's not based even on what you think. It's based on what other people told you to think. Quit listening to other people. Start relying on yourself. Get some confidence in who you are. You've been here this fucking long. You've learned things. You know things. Quit listening to people when they say, well, you don't know that, or that's not for these people to know, or that group of people would never understand. None of that's true. But get in the dark, like I said. Close your fucking physical eyes and look at yourself. Are you happy with that? I can always find something I need to work on. But I can also look at myself and not have to pat myself on the back for nothing. There's always something I can be better at. But then again, after watching some of this shit that goes on out here, I'm pretty fucking damn proud of myself for I'm just living right now and not hating other people for just being who they are. But I'm not going to put up with this shit with you motherfuckers out there. You started as soon as that man's goddamn, that story of that man was out there. You've already listening to the lies from these known fucking creepy ass fucking liars that none of them are even original humans. They're all made up to be something. Man wears fucking eyeliner. One paints his face fucking orange. The rest of them are Mar-a-Lago fucking whores. Loyalists. Loyalists are not truthers. Loyalty's a good thing, but it doesn't trump, oh my bad, it ain't above the fucking truth. Loyalty's something you're supposed to have to people that you trust and that have shown you the same thing. You don't give it to somebody that has an evil agenda or offers you riches or fame or a new face that looks like a fucking creepy fucking woman. And I don't like these people, and I talk about them the way I want to, and if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I mean, I really am sorry. I never asked you to see what I see. Matter of fact, I wish I never had to see it myself. But I'm not going to sit back and coddle you. I love you. I want you to live. You're not going to live listening to this bullshit. You're not going to live until you start thinking for yourself. Now, when I say live, I don't mean live through it. We could be shot and murdered in the streets tomorrow. It don't matter. Right now, somebody could just do anything they want. You could just fall down the steps. You know? Like Bilbo told Frodo, you know, the first step you take out of the bed is an adventure. You're not guaranteed life, but you're guaranteed the chance to live it. You can live it as a slave. You can live it as a fucking piece of shit hater. Or you can live it like you want to. Because you're not wrong in what you want to do because that's what you want to do. You're wrong when you follow the crowd. You're wrong when you listen to these people tell you the right and wrongs or proper or improper things. Somebody is being respectful or offering, giving you life and you're giving me life, like that Josie Wells saying, I'm not offering you nothing else. I'm just offering you life and you give me life and we'll carry on. But I don't have to fucking offer you something for you allow me to live. I'm going to give you the life you're giving me. Kind of like at Christmas. Why don't you give each other the gift of not giving and quit making these son of bitches richer? Because, man, this greed thing has gone way out of control. It's trickled down to us. You want to be rich, but you ain't got the money. You're acting like billionaires without the money. You're acting like people that hate you. Quit acting. Just be you. And I'm really upset about this, you know. But I had my rant for today. When I said earlier, I meant it. But I made a decision after a couple phone calls. I'm not going to get sucked into murdering my brother. I've gone this far in my life without killing anybody. I'm going to go the rest of it without killing nobody. But by God, I stay away. No, don't come looking for trouble, that is. Because you'll fucking find it. And I won't kill you, but I'll make your fucking life miserable. You'll walk away limping. But you will walk away. And you'll walk away wanting to. There's one thing I learned a long time ago, and I got it from my mom. I can be a lot more cruel than anybody out there I've ever met. And that's something I fight inside of me. I think I find it to be a goal. It should be a goal in people's life. You want to be a better person than end the generational curses that are upon you and your family right now. Put an end to it. It may cost relationships. It may cost a lot of things, but end them. You love your children, you end them with you. And if you don't know what generational curses are, go look it up. There's a sister right there, Denise. Ask her about them. Talk to people. That's like I said before, and it's my cop-out, but that's outside of my pay grade. Now I'm trying to be simple in a complicated world. Now, like what I see and I never have. But what it's come to now, what it's progressed into, is a shadow. And the shadow is death. It's not Thanatos' death. This is death. It's complete separation from anything. You don't want to be alone out there in that universe, trust me. You don't really want to be alone here. All people don't suck. Matter of fact, some of the ones you think do, they're just putting up a front because they're afraid. Not all the people out there bullying are bad people. Not all the people out there laughing. Some can be changed. I believe that with all my heart too. You think you can do that, then fine. As for me, that's the one thing where I'm going to tell you. I'll leave you in that mud puddle and hope you fucking drown in it. We all know equally what the fuck's going on, like what's good and bad. If you want to keep being on the side and helping these motherfuckers out, then just go do it. But I'm not going to kill you because of it. My soul told me that today. And asked me who the fuck I was. And I did sit in the dark. My eyes were clenched shut. And he said, just keep being you, Bill. Ain't nothing wrong with it. So I'm passing that on. You keep being you. Ain't nothing wrong with it. In fact, I love you. We're each other. Remember that. And if you don't live in fear, and you don't live in here, you'll be a lot better off. You'll actually be able to contribute to starting over again, because this shit's over. Hey, Lawrence. Anyway, I'm going to get off here and let you have your evening back. Smoke this last half a cigarette and carry my silly ass to bed, because I just let the fire go out. I will say this, though. Don't let any of this shit go past you in your physical life or out here. You see somebody trying to destroy somebody else, you see somebody reveling in the deaths of innocent people, you get that fucking ass. And I'll tell you something about that. There's a satisfaction in that. It may not make you feel better. It might make you feel real better. But it's a start to fighting evil. Fight fucking hard. Get bloody. And don't live in fear. I love y'all. Enjoy your weekend.